Good morning, Wizards. 1 a.m. here in the UK, and we finally gotten our weekly candle closure. Now, what an ironic and a confusing weekly candle closure it is, considering we have waited a pretty long time to see this candle close, only for it to close ever so slightly below the prior lower high. This has now made things a bit more complex than expected. However, we are here to break that down and understand this entire procedure a little bit further. So, first of all, we have to take into consideration what's going on in the market right now. As you can see, this level now is looking fairly bearish for how it's closed. The reason being is, although this level is holding, we have closed very strong. We have seen a nice bullish rise, but this could also mimic the prior movement before. So here's what I'm thinking right now. Considering the level we've closed at, which is around $8,200, we have not yet seen a real candle closure above this region. So as you can see right now, we've had another candle closure precisely at this level. So first of all, considering where we've closed below the lower high, we are still valid for a potential downside movement to continue from this region. The reason being is every single weekly candle closure that's reversed has seen this same huge bullish candle as a key level, with a spike of the next candle, the current weekly candle that will be, maybe potentially even touching this level again. So it goes without saying now, I'm still sticking to my bias. I am not changing this, that the minute we see $8,500 broken, which is the prior wick, should we see this level broken here around $8,200, we will see a very sharp incline of around $200 to $300 straight to $8,500. That's pretty much a given. Looking at this level here on the daily, as you can see, nice accumulation. If I just mark this up there instead on the precision, you can see we're still locked within this zone. So a nice clear break of 8,200 should provide, if you want some intraday momentum over here, a nice quick upside spike to around 8.4 to 8.5. So I'm monitoring this level right now. The reason being is upon that weekly candle closure, the cruciality of this level, because of how well it's held up every single time, no matter how many times it's spiked through, we have still closed below this level. So all we need now is a clear break above, and we can expect to test up here. And upon a break of $8,500, we are very easily looking at the bullish momentum to be confirmed. So although I'm not saying this is going to be a bull run, and in all honesty, even if we do break this level with the upside levels that come into play, I do not believe this will reach all-time highs just yet. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it's the right time. And despite how irrational this market can be, there is still a certain amount of logic to be taken into consideration. Looking at how this level was just driven directly up to this zone, we have to be so cautious right now, considering we haven't had a clear close below or a clear close above. So it's a very indecisive period in the market. And again, I'm not here to downplay you guys. I'm not here to post one direction. I am still going to maintain a double momentum and a double bias, because it's just too risky to be attempting to trade at these levels. I'm still favoring potential spikes above, but the key factor that's keeping me momentumly focused towards a potential pullback, even down to these levels again, is the pure fact we have failed to break this level just yet. There has not been a single break besides a few wicks, and this candle alone has absolutely plummeted. So we're looking at this level right now, and as you can see, a clear 1 hour rejection here. It is looking like it could very well just pull all the way back. So we are maintaining focus on this level right now, and there has to be a lot of focus on this 1 hour time frame, because if this 1 hour time frame begins to start holding up, we could be seeing a very sharp and drastic pullback. So let's go to the daily. As you've seen with many candles like this before, because of how it's instantly moved and pulled back, our biggest caution right now is it does not just ping and break through to the upside. So all I need to say, if you are looking to start activating some long positions on your side or your end, please await a clear closure of $8,200. Going over to this 1 hour time frame here, a clear closure above, and we can start indicating a nice rapid and short intraday movement to the upside. But for the time being, with this pullback here, you are seeing some lower lows and lower highs. So to confirm a potential reversal and a continuation to the downside, we need this level broken, and we need a potential retest before we can then move, and that retest would likely be around $8,000 on an intraday level. So the daily time frame right now, what's a crucial region and exciting period in the market yet again. It's just so crazy how we've been moving in the past 2 weeks, considering how it's been for the majority of the year so far. So using this as let's just zoom out a little bit as well. You can still see on a monthly time frame as well. We are still just testing these regions here. From a monthly, hasn't actually breached a monthly wick, but on the weekly, of course, we've peaked a little bit above that region. So with another week left, it will be very interesting to see how this candle closes as well. But the overall focus of this weekly candle now, I wouldn't be surprised to see a potential pullback straight away and a weekly candle mimicking one of these. So the overall agenda here is because we have formed a very slight lower low, we could very easily be seeing loads of stop hunts. Again, please be cautious. This level, you can only imagine how many sell orders have accumulated here to stop this bullish momentum. This is the biggest factor for me. We've spent the whole week battling to break this region, so it is painting a fairly vivid picture that we could be attempting to break this level, but the bears are seriously just taking control right now. The biggest concern for me, however, is this candle here has pulled back and only peaked at around 8,000, potentially breaking through, tapping this level, and it could very well just rocket. So we are not going for that premature entry. We are not jumping the gun until we get our confirmation. I do not care what anyone else in the market is doing. We are patient, we are wizards, and we are snipers, and we await a clear confirmation of this level. Having a little look at XRP, yet again, pretty much mimicking the same behavior. You have a nice 61.8 region there. So any upside spikes in the short term, you can definitely be focusing around that region. But this clear candle closure right now and the way this is closed, please just be cautious with this region here up to around 0.44. Reason being is we've seen loads of wicks here before, loads of attempts to break higher. So we have to be cautious with how these levels maintain. If we see a pullback and we hit this moving average here, because that could be a nice short-term move to around 39 cents. If it taps and holds this level, even mimicking and potentially confluencing with around 0.38, it will likely just ping back up to that trend line there as well. So the biggest level of caution for me with XRP is, of course, that trend line. But overall, the market as a collective, I still believe there is not going to be a further continuation higher as of yet until BTC gives us that confirmation we will need. So going on to a 30-minute perspective here, as you can see, it's slowly but progressively making that climb higher. So a nice clean break below this level here would completely confirm yet again a further continuation to the downside. So currently have a head and shoulders, a very interesting one at that, because every single body has closed at the exact same region. It's only the wick that has technically validated this setup. So hoping to see, how this will be unfolding over the next few hours. But for now, we must remain patient. It's a very critical level to be trying to time, and it's more likely it's at a resistance level right now that's hoping to be broken or versus taking a short. Now, the reason being is, guys, as I just said, when you see these huge drives up and you see a break above and a little pullback lower, it usually means, especially during a current market momentum with the lower highs, etc., it means price has been driven up. Huge bullish momentum, huge, pulls up to this critical level, which is literally a confirmation of a huge bullish blast to the upside or a huge reversal to the downside. Now, when price closes at this level, it simply means after so much momentum, for a candle to stop exactly at this level, the amount of sell orders must be severe. And that means severe enough to stop price moving. So we have to be cautious. And for me, even break above this wick would pretty much confirm that price is going to start accelerating higher. But we do need final confirmations. And to be honest with you, we're seeing such a significant move of this region. If we see this level break, there's nothing wrong with waiting for an $8,400 to $8,500 break before then finally catching a retest of this key wick here and this level of support, and then you can catch a very large upside move. Now, when we're talking large upside moves, it's very obvious this thing will rocket straight to around $9,200 if we do break this level. So we're taking this into consideration right now because price is at such a critical level. So upon an upside blast, we're looking at an immediate launch towards around $9,200. So pay special attention to this, because once this gets broken, you can see a tap to around 8,800, give or take. Quick pullback, ping up here, and then from there we will see how this goes. Now, we cannot keep drawing Fibonacci lines because this was the main key Fibonacci region. We've now closed below that level. So what could also come into play is another very sharp drop down to this Fibonacci level to test it one last time before rocketing higher. So I am taking this upside bias now into consideration much more further than I was in the prior week because of this candle. So looking at how powerful this level was and how it held before, And going to the daily, seeing how we slammed back, tested and pulled higher, we are looking at a potential setup of this as well. So having a look at this, the A, the B, the C, and there we go, pretty much precisely around this level, 9280, almost 93. We have a Fibonacci extension lined up. So I didn't even draw this, I've only just drawn this on now. As you can see, it could confluence with a potential tap, a pullback to around this level, or even around 82, and bang, we could rocket straight to the upside there. So when it comes to actually considering whether this is going to be the bull run, I think we do need to be a bit cautious and not get ahead of ourselves, because there has been times before where wicks have been blasted through, but yet they have come back to humble us. So it's all about being cautious and just awaiting some final steps of confirmation. So for now, for the time being, focus please on the 1 hour time frame. The reason being is that rejection yet again is absolutely perfect, and it's something to take into consideration. And this 4 hour candle, especially after such a rapid and very critical end to the week, I would be cautious and await the first 4 hour candle before taking any further steps. But just be cautious of this upside break here. In saying that, monitoring on a 1 hour and a 4 hour perspective, should we start seeing these breaks above to around 8,400, 8,500, or even the prior wick of the weekly around here, but no break to the upside, we are literally going to fall all the way back down. So we have to still remain logical around this bias, because this is a dead on 8,200 level that's held beautifully, and we cannot fault this level whatsoever. If we extend this up, which I do not really want to do as I do not validate this, you can see again that is now just replaced where the 78.6 was, now becoming the 61.8, and this up here, as you can see, it's almost exactly the same. Could be a further extension aligning with other levels. Now, although I do not validate this as a Fibonacci setup, as it's just cheating, technically, to be honest with you. If you were to simply draw that there, then we would just be continuously dragging this up until eventually it all comes through. But what you should pay attention to is this Fibonacci here, and even up there, although this is key. So do not take these into consideration as in a Fibonacci bounce, but take these into consideration for upside targets. So all I'm saying is around 10K here, we could even see a surge to around $10,000. Although I do believe in the mist of euphoria, that would be the absolute peak of the movement for this current short-term rally. So taking into consideration these levels being broken, that would then simply validate a new continuation of a trend up to these levels here, where we would then readjust, move this a little bit higher, and this would slowly unfold its way in a very rapid manner. So besides the Fibonacci's coming into play, the explosions would be very rapid in the event of such a situation unfolding. So going back to, actually, let's just check that as well. So key levels here, as you can see, 8.5, very critical, even from that zone there. Drag this down, and the same area comes into play with the 78.6. The focus here isn't specifically on catching these Fibonacci retests, as it's technically cheating, but it's about catching the precision of these key levels. You can see how they've confluenced, especially once you're on the daily, with prior price action before critical levels. So just have it marked and have it as a level of potential if we do see an upside breakout, as you will see a very rapid and easy long opportunity towards these levels should we see that occur. But as of now, should we remain below this level, by all means, every single factor still remains, and we can very easily see $6,000. This is that point in time now where it seems so unrealistic and so beyond belief that such a move could happen. It's more likely than not going to unfold in a shocking move. So the weekly candle here, looking at this right now, I'm really hoping to see a potential pullback, not because of a bias or ego, but purely because of where we're closing. It does fit in logically with all of the analysis that's been coming through. So if you were checking the Twitter feeds, etc., we did say upon a pullback of around $7,000, we would see $7,800 to around $8,000 met, and going towards that trend line and timeline now, you can see yet again pulling back. So although we've been making higher lows, the highs have been rejecting this same region. So it's very important to see, even upon a pullback, if we see a clear break at this level, it's a pretty much 100% confirmation. Even with a little pullback, this is going to absolutely fall. So I need you guys to really be calculated here and be very sensible, not jump the gun and not do anything drastic. Now, we're not going to focus too much on these other pairs for the time being, as all eyes are on BTC. But one thing you should be taking into consideration, especially for Ethereum, which is a very nice confluence as well for a potential pullback on BTC. Huge Fibonacci here, A, B. Ether, technically, right now, if you look at the 4 hour, has created a new lower low. So all you're seeing here is a potential retest of this 78.6 fib, which would correlate excellently with, let's go to the 4 hour of this as well, a little spike to the upside, potentially reaching this wick here of the prior weekly candle. Nice correlation. Let's check if there's a fib on this as well. So as you can see, we're now above that fib, so that's a very cautious level to take into consideration. But for me now, with that confluence on Ether, when you start seeing that break above, guys, you know it's time to start factoring in a huge confirmation of a shift in the trend. So we are taking these factors into consideration, but I also believe the way this candle's closed, it hasn't been wacky, it hasn't been just above or just below, it's been precisely on this level. So it's currently a 50-50 scenario, and it's now not down to the weekly candle, as the weekly candle has now given us our next confirmation. It's now down to those dailies, the 4 hours and 1 hours, to start picking a bias. Now you would have noticed I'm not actually giving real trades out right now. I'm not giving margin trades out, because this is not the time to be trying to time the market. When we start seeing those moves again, like when we saw the quick pullback on BTC, by all means I can give you a quick $1,000 move to make a very large portion of profits in a very quick space of time. But it's only once we're seeing some serious levels of support and resistance do I feel confident giving you guys easy targets to trade in between. If not, if you follow the analysis and you dollar cost average, a nice entry here, potentially for a trend continuation. But for now, we cannot get too excited, because this level here, let's just say we do see this weekly candle closure bearish like this, we are going all the way back down. It's been a repetitive pattern every single time in this market. And looking here, even after a breach higher of the prior weeks and the prior wicks, etc., little tap above technically here, this thing could absolutely melt down to where it was in the prior week. So should we see this weekly candle closure at around $7,000? Very likely as well. All we're going to expect, guys, is that trend continuation all the way back down. The rollover will continue, and even if we do not break below that level as I covered, you will see a trend continuation down to this level, potentially even the trend line, and then I believe we would actually begin rolling over back to the upside. So should that level not break, if we met it, roll over, follow the trend line and continue back up. It would almost be like a second chance and a holy grail for anybody that potentially missed out on this move from the very offset. Now, bearing in mind, we caught the long from here, so potentially catching this all the way down from here or even lower would be absolutely magnificent for both margin trading and for long-term investing as well. But I'm still very biased on this downside, and I still believe it's a huge possibility. Again, we have to be logical, we have to be calculated, premeditated, and until this level is broken, there is no confirmation. You cannot have a triple top forming on an $8,200 resistance level at a lower high. All the factors are aligning with this exact movement. Look at the wicks, even on the daily, just rejections galore. It could just end very catastrophically, besides some manipulation galore. Until that candle closes, guys, please do not pull any triggers for a long opportunity. As you can see now, the candle's already doing all kinds of trickery on the 4 hour time frame, and that's 1 hour. I do apologize, I have a bit of a stuffy nose. Looking at this here, nice break above, that would be excellent as well. So we are at a critical level. It's not a point to be trading, because this could simply be a retest of broken ground before snapping higher. So I would like to see a break below, like this kind of movement here, a quick pullback upon clearing out one of these lows here around 7,750, give or take. Quick tap up to one of these levels here, even from 8,000 to 8,100, and then we would confirm a very sharp downside continuation for the remainder of the week. The last thing we want is a mimic of a movement here or here, where you can see the candle in the beginning of the week pulls down straight away, retests just around a quarter of that candle body. Remember, we covered a quarter of the candle body when we were trying to catch the upside movement. We saw exactly that. But due to this bullish momentum now continuing for so many weeks, let's just look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, we potentially could be seeing a pullback from this region. Now you put all these facts into consideration. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there could be a very interesting 2 weeks. And for all we know, if we are following by prior principles, however, looking at this trend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are many different factors to take into consideration here, but until this level's broken, that is why there is so much focus on this level. We've now got our weekly candle closure. So paying special attention to this. Even a strong 4-hour candle closure at this region would yet again confirm a continuation. So pay special attention to Ether during this region as well, because the 78.6 is currently rejecting ever so precisely. Pulling this up from a wick to a body, we have a perfect test there and a perfect test of around $270. So looking at that now, nice little level, could be tapping down to around 240 for a nice little short intraday move. But looking at this overall, the Fibonacci is aligning absolutely perfectly at this level, and it has formed a new lower high. So this is a big factor that I'm taking into consideration as well. So let's have a look at this. Moving average crossover as well. Is that technically a golden cross, what many people would consider as well? A golden cross of some sorts on this Fibonacci, moving average combination as well. But looking at this here, as you can see from prior price action at key levels, when there is normally, again, very similar, pulls up, pulls back, closes below, pulls up, pulls down, closes below the prior high, begins consolidating down and moving. So all factors for me are still confirming, despite being at a 50-50 bias, there is no way on earth I'm wiping out or invalidating a potential downside movement. There can be as many jokes as people want. There can be as much hate and insults as people want. I am here to provide you a very logical and sensible output. So a break above here has been confirmed, although we've hit a critical level of $280. And as for XRP, this is a bit of a hard one to judge because it's mimicking. Again, we've hit the 61.8 right now. We've tapped that level, we've broken above. We have seen false breaks before, which is something I am taking into consideration, which would mimic yet again a potential spike of the prior wicks and bodies around this region of 0.45, and then continuing back down on its merry way towards this trend line. More importantly for me, I now need to extend this out to the new level. This trend line has not been met, which is something to be cautious of with the prior wick. Should it retest the prior wick and tap above here, it could be seeing that 78.6 met as well. So, you know, I always get a bit unnerving or a bit nervous when the 78.6 has not been met precisely. So even doing this though, this might help everyone's bias here. Let's just make this a body-to-body movement. And you can see we have actually already tapped the 78.6 with a precise movement pulling back there as well. So as usual, please be cautious if you are catching any short opportunities. Your wicks, your stop losses must be above all of the wicks for such an opportunity here. Obviously be concise, be calculated, and just realize if you're going to play stop losses, you know if they're going towards 8,500 anyway, you're more likely than not going to see a continuation. So it's not about entering huge position sizes and trying to catch a Goliath of a movement, because if you are even trading a very small position size, you can set a much wider stop loss, only trading 20 to 30% of your position, and you could potentially be catching huge moves to the downside. But it does go without saying, please just wait for a further confirmation. I do believe with the way this is moving right now, if it can obliterate that kind of quarter movement of the prior weekly candle, you should just see a nice clear reversal to the downside. But of course, I'm now giving you your upside targets upon a break of these levels. Should you see that break, $9,200 and $10,000 is an absolute given. So we are having to take these factors into consideration much further now because of this critical level. So guys, that's pretty much it for now. I need to really now wait for these hourly candles to kind of give us a much clearer picture. So I'm not here to start throwing out wacky predictions or calling it this or that. The fact is, we've seen our closure. The BTC one has worked out fairly well. XRP has closed ever so slightly higher, so we need to just make sure it's not a fake out of this moving average, which it has done many times before. So let's just judge how it spikes through, how it moves about these regions, and it could just be a continuation, because theoretically candle body is below even the wick below the bodies here as well. It could just be one of those movements that continue rolling over towards our downside target of around 24 to 25 cents. So nothing's being ruled out yet. We are still keeping all perspectives in consideration. Of course, we are in a huge bullish market, but until this level is broken, we are not considering any further movements. The fact it's closed just below should be enough of a give or take for now, and a bit of an insight further that everything is still unfolding and everything is still a potential play to the downside until this level is broken. So pay special attention. It's going to be another interesting and very exciting week. I'm here to just keep you guys level-headed, not to FOMO in, not to jump the gun, not to try and get onto the bullish trade, because realistically, once you break above anyway, there is a lot of money to be made from an upside blast. So just sit back, be calculated, let the market give you a very clear and concise sign, and I'm here anyway to keep you updated throughout every step of the way. Once the indicators are providing a more clear bias, by all means we can begin looking for those one direction opportunities, but for now we are sticking to a two bias side until that critical level gives way. So guys, hope you're having a good evening or morning so far, or afternoon wherever you are in the world, and I'll be back shortly after a good night's sleep and recording a few more lessons and strategies for you all, and then we can go further into this and hopefully start identifying some intraday movements as well. So I'm hoping you caught the breakout as well of $7,400, which rocketed us straight to this movement here. You would have caught a very nice $600 to $700 movement. So hopefully you've had a good profit from that movement as well. And from there, we can continue forward and have a very good week from this point onwards. So guys, I'll see you in the Telegram again shortly. If not, I'll be on Twitter giving you updates as well. So as per, please make sure you're focused on Twitter as well for any further updates.